Hi, it's Michael Nolte with X14 Disc Golf, here to bring you the course overview for the River Trail Open on this beautiful piece of property in Summer Falls, Minnesota at Camp Victory Ministries. It's a gorgeous piece of property. So excited for y'all to be out here and play it. So it's a new video format, so there'll be arrows, different colors, red, blue for tee pads, orange for drop zones, and then purple for shared tee pads. So just keep out for that. So hole one is a tightly kind of wooded course to start off with. You have a very narrow start, and the road in left beyond that is OB, so you have to be very careful of that when you get out there. But once you get past that first part of the trees and you get open to this fairly open part, it's just making it up and down to get your birdie or par. Taking a bogey is definitely definitely lose strokes to the cards here. Now hole two, it is a shorter hole, just really heavily wooded to a green that's on the other side of a ravine. The only thing that's OB here is the bridge, so you just don't want to land on the bridge. Other than that, you just want to kind of throw it as best you can and try to make it to the green to get yourself a birdie here. So that's all you're trying to work on right there, is just to get your birdie. Hole three is there's a lot of gaps you can take. You can take this left gap over here, the right gap, or you can just try to punch straight through the grove of trees. It's definitely harder on the left side to get up for that approach shot. The right shot's the most open, and if you can get through the middle, it is the most open for that. But if you don't make it through that big kind of grove of trees, you're kind of stuck trying to fit a shot through a really tight gap, and so it could be really hard. Now hole four is from the long tees, it's just a very long bomber hole. Basically OB is roads and beyond, so even so basically the road that's beyond. So if you kind of sail it and get it past there, it can definitely carry on you. For the short tees, you tee off from that wooden platform right there, and it's a little bit shorter. It's definitely one where if you hit your line right and you land, you can definitely get yourself a nice birdie, but it's one that a lot of pars will happen as well. Hole five is a island hole for the long tees and the short tees. You basically, for the long tees, you start you throw into this island, which is only about 200 feet to the island, but the road and beyond on the right is OB, and the rough on the left is OB. The short tee pad there is the drop zone if you do not land safe on the island. Well, if you go OB when you land on the island, and thereafter you just play from where you were out on the island, and it's one where getting a birdie here is definitely a bonus for sure. Hole six here, it is a really technical hole. There's a couple lines. You can do a lot of spike hyzer. You can try to throw it straight and through, but you're just trying to make it to this basket, and it's definitely one that's a lot more deceivingly hard from the long tees. The short tees, you have to punch it low and through this gap. If you get high, you'll hit trees and land short and have to end up taking a par if you try to shoot through the gap right there. Hole seven, the only difference here between the tees is that they're just in different positions. The blue tees having to kind of contend with some trees, and the red tee doesn't have to. And it's just a very similar just line, just trying to not go OB on the road. Also, the fencing area on the left is OB. Now, hole eight, it is a par 4, par 3. For here, there'll be a spotter, and when you throw over the road, it's road and beyond on the left is OB. So if you don't land safe, you basically have to throw from about 30 feet from the tee pad. So if you want to go risky for the eagle here, it is a rewarding play, but also very risky if you don't land safe, or if you if you go OB, or you go deep into these trees. Hole 9, starting off the long tee, it's a really short hole, but it's very technical, very sharp turn with OB of the river, and you're putting kind of straight down to the river. From the short tee pad as well, it's just it's a tough putt if you're farther than 15 feet away, and if you miss, you're going in the river. Now, hole 10 is one of our signature holes. It's 377 feet, and it's just a bomber shot. Road, and from the tee pad to the road is OB, so you have to land safe. This side road is not OB, it's just a side road, but you want to land safe and kind of make yourself a birdie here is awesome. Hole 11 is a really tough hole. It has a gradual dog leg to the right. So for the lefty and the forehand dominant players, it's some that they can attack, but it's really one that's hard to attack and get all the way up to the basket for a birdie. So it's a bonus birdie here as well. Hole 12 is just an open shot. There is this baseball fence you just got to be aware of. But it's an open shot through a narrow gap at the beginning, and you have to make it land to the right over here. And it definitely takes a bit of finesse to get it there. If you land short and you're putting towards the basket, there is a slope behind it. If you miss it, you're putting and trying to save your par, and you can turn into a bogey for sure. Hole 13 is an island hole that is relatively short of a hole, but it's an elevated basket, and so you're having to be aware of that and where you land. You're most likely going to land behind the basket facing OB. If you do not make it, you'll proceed to the drop zone, which is right there. Yeah, it's a fun hole, but it's going to be dangerous as well. Hole 14 they're relatively short holes, but it's one that if you don't get a birdie on, it's definitely one that you're going to lose a lot of strokes on if you don't get that birdie. It's the one that needs to be birdied. Hole 15 is a tough hole because it's a very narrow fairway with rough on both sides. If you hit early trees and kick into them deep, it's going to turn into a bogey fest for sure. So you want to just make sure to hit that gap and land safe. And the basket's just to the left here. So it's definitely one that if you get a birdie, it's a bonus for sure. Hole 16 is one of my favorite holes here. It is 150 feet, but it is a super beautiful hole on the river. There's OB danger all the way, and you're just trying to make it land by the basket. If you fall in the river anywhere or go anywhere like that, you'll go to the drop zone right here and have to putt and try to save your par from up top here. But it's a gorgeous hole, one that you want to use your utility disc on. Hole 17 is also another short hole that kind of requires some finesse to hit the gap. Here, if you miss this gap and hit earlier, now you're going to have to try and save your par with an upshot. So you definitely want to be able to hit the small gap here to land safe and get yourself a birdie. Birdie here is definitely one that you need. Hole 18 is going to be one of the tougher holes for the long tees. It's a par 4, par 3, and it's one that you have to work for. You can hit the left gap or the right side gap on this course, and it's definitely one where if you have the distance to go up and over, you can definitely get a birdie. But if you hit any trees early or get stuck, you're going to have to fight to push yourself down the fairway and make yourself keep pushing yourself down the fairway to try and make any attempt to make a birdie here. A birdie here is definitely getting strokes on your field. From the short tee pad, it's a little bit more straightforward. Definitely a flex line for those righty backhands, and so it's definitely one that you're going to want to birdie for sure to gain a lot of strokes. Hole 19 is a one where if you do not hit this first gap right here, it is going to kick into the woods and you're going to have to try and save par. But if you can hit the gap, you're going to land yourself nice and close for a birdie look. Hole 20 is a par 3 that is one of my favorites as well. You get to kind of just launch a shot and try to hit this about 15-foot gap to get yourself close enough for a birdie look. It is small, but if you can hit the gap and get close to the basket, getting a birdie here is definitely going to gain strokes on your field in the tournament from both positions. The red tee is a little bit more wider, a little bit more of a forgiving line, whereas the blue tees are having a little bit more of a tighter line to try and hit that gap. So this final hole is hole 21. To the left, there is the volleyball court, which is OB. There will also be a parking lot right next to it extending. That'll also be OB. The soccer nets are just going to stay there. There's just natural hazards. If you land at any concrete past the basket, that is OB. So any type of concrete is OB. But yeah, you're just trying to bomb it all the way down here. And if you have the distance to throw it 500 feet or 400 feet, you can definitely take an eagle here to end your day. But I thank you all for watching this course overview of the Red Trail Open. I am excited to see you all out here competing this upcoming week. And yeah, I'm just excited to have y'all compete on this beautiful piece of property and continue to kind of grow our sports out here.